desk setup build videos are always about like, oh, look at how minimal I can make my desk. What I think you need is the most amount of stuff to get all of the work that you could potentially have to do done at one desk with the least amount of space possible. So how do I do it? Let's find out. What's up, everyone? I'm the Everyday Dad, and if I can figure it out, you can figure it out. So welcome to my kind of nightmare desk setup. I've been talking about this for the last few videos, but what I wanted to do today is, I keep talking about it, so let's go through everything that I have on my desk to run 4 separate operations. And we'll talk about all 4 as we go through this. So first off, let's talk about the things that are constant. So no matter what I'm doing, they'll be the same. Number one, what I'm sitting in right now, my chair. Now, I think it is very important to invest in a good office chair. Now, I don't know if you can see this or not. This is not a fancy, flashy gaming chair, but this is a very comfortable, very functional chair that I bought, and it's from a company called Steelcase, and this is their Series 1 chair. Now, it's not the most expensive office chair out there, but I spend a lot of time sitting down at this desk, and this is by far the most comfortable chair that I've ever had. So highly recommend. It's very adjustable. The arms are adjustable. The back's adjustable. It's super comfy. Gotta invest. If there's one big thing that I will recommend that you invest in, it is your chair, because the one thing you're gonna do to desk is sit, right? Unless you stand, then I don't know. I like sitting. The next constant we'll talk about is the desk. I've talked about this desk in a lot of videos. Anytime I do a desk setup video or my accessories video, this is a standing desk from a company called Veridesk. Again, everything that I'm gonna talk about today are items that I've personally purchased. Nobody provided these to me. But I bought this desk because of how low it goes. Now, personally, when I'm doing a lot of work from my computer, I don't slouch, but I like to lean back a bit, and I like my desk to be as low to the ground as possible, and that's why I bought this specific standing desk, so that I could be more comfortable sitting. Yeah, I'm so aggressive about sitting that I bought a standing desk so I could sit better. But this desk, it's called their reclaimed wood top. It's amazing. It's got a digital control to raise and lower. You can set certain custom presets. This desk, I have the smaller version, which is the desk that I use in the studio when we're making videos in the studio. The next thing I have is my Gallaway leather mouse pad. Another thing that you will see in a lot of my videos, because it is just, I like big mouse pads because I don't necessarily like the feeling of having my keyboard or my mouse on straight up wood or whatever my desktop is. I like having something between us, and you can get gigantic mouse pads anymore. And I like this one because it's a nice leather. Feels very good when I'm working, and my mouse just glides right across it. A couple other things to note, returning are my speakers. These are the Presonus E3.5s, which I get a lot of flack for these in the comments of the videos because people are like, oh, those are the speakers for people that don't know any better. You're right, I absolutely don't know any better when it comes to audio, but these work great. They're great for video editing. They're great for listening to music. They're great for video gaming, so they also weren't that expensive. We just talked about this a couple of days ago, I like saving money when I can. Something else that I do a lot is I have a terrible short-term memory. And yes, I can always take notes on my phone or on any of these computers that we have around here, but I also like this is a Moleskin Notebook. I like having a notebook because it's just easier for me to write down all of my thoughts and notes and things that I need to do throughout the day. Goldfish can only hold, like 30 seconds of information in their head at a time? That's me. If I don't write it down, it didn't happen. So I keep this notebook around. It's so much easier, and it's easier for me to track than trying to do everything digitally. Maybe that makes me an old person. I mean, I'm coming up pretty close to 40 here in a couple of years, so maybe that's just me, but I like having something to write down on when I'm doing any of my work. And I use this for all of these applications as we go forward. And it's also on grid paper. I like grid or dot paper as opposed to straight lines. I don't know, I started bullet journaling a few years ago where you track everything through ticks and blocks. Now, I don't do that much anymore, but trying that out has made me have a very big appreciation for grid paper. If you haven't used it before, give it a shot. I'm not an engineer, I'm not an architect. Grid paper is pretty good. Okay, let's start getting into the exciting stuff, like the computer, the technology stuff that I'm really known for. So again, like I said in the beginning, this desk has to do 4 separate operations. I have a 9-to-5 job, I run this YouTube channel, and every now and again when I have any second of spare time, I like to play video games. So I have 3 separate computers that sit on this desk to run those 3 separate operations. Now, the first computer we're not really going to talk about because it's not actually this computer. This is the Zephyrus G14 that we've made a few videos about. But normally what sits here is my work computer. But I don't want to bring my work into this. This is just a prop for right now, where this is where I check all my emails, I write all my emails, I write all those papers. And I have it in this just one of the stands that we talked about in a previous video, the design stand. I think I used this for the MacBook Pro 13. It's just a functional little travel stand that you can put at any angle and you can just set anywhere on the desk. and then it just very easily holds my work computer at an angle where I can dual screen. Now, normally I don't like dual screening, but the way that my work functions, I use dual screens for that. And you know, you can see the gigantic ultra wide screen here that we'll talk about in a second. We also have the M1 Mac Mini, and then this is a very recent adjustment. I used to have my custom built desktop PC over on the side here. However, it's been having some weird problems where it would just cut out while I was in the middle of doing stuff. So I've replaced that with the Asus ROG Strix 17 that we made a few videos about a month ago. And it's been my gaming computer, and it's phenomenal. Like, I haven't noticed any power difference between going from the desktop to going to this thing. This is one of the most powerful laptops that I've ever seen. It's crazy. But all of these things, what really matters, if I've got videos on all of these specific computers, if you really want to see detailed information about them, but I have them all plugged in to this right here. And you're not gonna be able to see it on the main camera, but hopefully you can see it on the secondary camera. This is a KVM switch from a company called AIMOS. Now, what this does is I've got all three computers plugged into this through HDMI and through USB-C. What this lets me do is I only use the one monitor and I only use the one mouse and keyboard. And we'll talk about those here in a second. But this lets me just hit a button and it switches between the different inputs. And this will take up to 4 inputs, but I don't need 4 computers in my life. I just need the 3 computers for all of this. 4 computers will be a little much, but this is just so nice because if you saw, what really was the genesis of this video was that Twitter post that I made where I had the nightmare desk setup where it was 3 keyboards. It was 3 keyboards, it was 3 mice. It was terrible because I was trying to switch from the display to all those things. I had the computers plugged in through HDMI. I had the other computer plugged in through DisplayPort. And let me tell you, that was not a good time. So if you're trying to get lots of computers into one monitor to try to maybe not be minimalistic, but to optimize your space, I would highly recommend one of these KVM switches. You don't necessarily have to get the one that I've gotten, but I like it because it does have 2 USB-A for a mouse and a keyboard, and it does not need to be plugged into the wall. I'm not going to show you today my power cable management because it's awful. Future Gary might cut some footage of that over this just to embarrass me, but it's terrible. And so anytime I don't need to plug something into the wall, because it's a nightmare down there. I used to use the Apple Magic Keyboard and the Logitech MX Master 3. That is a fantastic keyboard and mouse combination. However, since I've got 2 Windows computers in this setup, I can no longer use that, unfortunately. I was using the MX Master 3, but I started having some Bluetooth problems with it connecting to the Mac Mini, so we're all wired now, so we're definitely in gamer mode. I do have a gamer keyboard and mouse combination, but it works really well for productivity too. So the mouse I use is the Razer Naga Trinity. This thing is really cool because it's got this side here, and you can see that this has a more traditional, side buttons. It also comes with 2 other panels, so you can set this up to have all sorts of customizable buttons. And I was using this as I was playing 2 accounts on World of Warcraft Classic, so the mouse would have like all of my secondary character stuff, because you're not allowed in World of Warcraft, you can't dual box anymore where you have one computer running everything. You have to have multiple accounts with multiple computers, so I was managing it through this. But it ended up being one of the most comfortable mice that I've ever owned, which is why I've stuck with it for so long. It's highly customizable, highly comfortable, very accurate, big fan. My keyboard, that again, I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to see, but you'll definitely be able to see it on the backup camera, is the Logitech G513, right? Yeah, the Logitech G513 Carbon mechanical keyboard. Now, I don't normally like mechanical keyboards, which I know that draws the ire of the internet. Mechanical keyboards are not my jam, but this mechanical keyboard is so good. The keys are not very clacky. Listen. They're a little clacky, but they're not overly clacky, and they're actually really comfortable to type on. One of my big things, because I type all day long, is there's gotta be a part of the keycap that when it presses, it like presses back up with me. It's part of the action. Apple is really good on that with their Magic Keyboard, where their keyboards are very silent, but it's very refreshing to type on because it's easy to get into a typing groove. And this is, for as far as mechanical keyboards go, this is the best mechanical keyboard that I've ever seen for me to get in a mechanical groove. I've got like 4 other mechanical keyboards that have fallen by the wayside because they just don't work very well, but this works so good. I did kind of break it though. It does have the little stands here. You can see this one right here. That broke, so I don't have the stand, but it comes with a little palm rest, so you don't get carpal tunnel, because I do not want to get carpal tunnel. You got to take care of your hands and your wrist. It sounds boring. Here's some dad advice. OSHA is there for a reason. You do not want soft tissue injuries. take care of yourselves. Kids out there, I know, you youngsters are like, I'm gonna live forever, injuries are boring, don't talk about them. They'll be important to you someday. Okay, the next thing we can talk about I do have a Mac Mini, which does have a lot of the I/O that the MacBooks are missing, which is why I have the Mac Mini here. But there's a few things that it doesn't have, and most of its I/O is in the back, which is kind of a pain in the butt if I need to plug stuff in and out, in and out. So what I have to help that out is I have the OWC Thunderbolt 3 dock. I guess there is a newer Thunderbolt 4 version. I don't really need the Thunderbolt 4 version, so I've been using the Thunderbolt 3 dock. It has an SD card, headphone, it has USB-C and USB-A on the front, which is what I need. And then on the back, it's got a lot more plugs, like a lot of USB-A. It's got power delivery, it's got Ethernet, which is great, and that would help out for a MacBook, but I just needed it for the stuff on the front. I was using the CalDigit TS3+. I used that for a very long time, but a couple of months ago, I started having problems with the readers and the plugs weren't working as well, so I decided to try something else out, and I bought this one. So those are the first three things I do: work computer, Mac Mini for video editing, and then I have the G17 for gaming. But the fourth thing that this desk setup does is what you're seeing now. This is my Zoom meeting or streaming when I do streams every now and again. This is the setup that I use for that. So the way that I have that set up is, you can see right here, this is an individual light panel. I cannot remember the company that made this, but you can find these on Amazon very cheap. It's just a rollable light that comes with a little frame. It's got a little clicker that controls the light, so you can see, goes off. Ooh, goes on. And I just have it on an Amazon Basics little microphone stand boom arm. One of the things that I really like about rollable LED lights is they're lightweight. They store in just about they take up no space to store. And when you have them set up, they're so light that you can use very small light support equipment to make it work. So instead of needing like a C-stand or some big thing to get the light in here, this is just about like a $10 Amazon Basic stand. The camera we're currently using is the Canon EOS R6. Normally, I'm a Lumix guy. This is a Lumix S5 that's over my shoulder back here. The reason I have this set up right now is this is a full frame camera, but I'm always moving around when I'm like on a Zoom meeting or we're doing a stream, and this has really good autofocus. So we've got a 35mm 1.8 lens on it, which it blurs out the background. It makes it look a little more high quality when you're on the stream, and when I make messes in the background, it's harder to tell because it's a little more blurry. For audio, I do have one of my older microphones in the past here. This is the Audio-Technica AT875R. It's not very expensive as far as microphones go, but the quality is phenomenal. This should not sound as good as it does for the price it costs. Normally, microphones that sound this good are $500, $600, maybe even $1,000, and this is not anywhere near that price. I have this plugged right now into a Zoom F6, which is a field recorder that takes the XLR adapter, no big deal. The Zoom F6, if you're looking for an audio interface, I think it's my favorite one ever. You get so many features. You get 6 separate XLR ports. You get Sony battery compatibility natively. Other recorders, you have to pay for extra sleds for that. You get all sorts of things with this. It's just so good. It's not expensive either, but it has what's called 32-bit float audio, which means you cannot break the audio. 32-bit float, it's like raw video recording, but for audio, it's so good. And then we've just got a bunch of other like random stuff. You can see I did not clean this. One of the things I wanted to do for this video is I did not want to clean this and make it look perfect, because this is what productivity is about perfection and making everything look nice. No, productivity is having everything where you need it so you can get your work done as efficiently as possible. And for me, I have my soda right here. I have my boring diet ginger ale that I drink right here. I also have, some pens. You always gotta have pens. I have the Apple Pencil here too, which I never use, so I don't even know how it got on the desk here. My iPhone, my second iPhone. Oh, and then if you're gonna do streaming, you need to get your camera's image signal into your computer. Now, some cameras, like Canon anymore, they have apps that will directly take it through USB-C, but if you have a camera that doesn't do that, I've used the Elgato Camlink for years now at this point, and there are cheaper alternatives out there, but I've had this for so long, it just works perfectly. It's plug and play, no problems, gets all your work done. Ooh, and before we forget, the biggest thing on here, this is my LG ultra wide monitor. This is the 32 LGGN something, whatever this is, will be overlaid right now. But I like ultra wide monitors because I don't like having multiple monitors except for work for that specific use. I like these because you can have basically 3 different projects open at once, or 3 different tabs, or however many tabs you can fit on here. For my eyesight, I can have 3 windows open at any given time. So I'm video editing, researching, chatting on Twitter. I can do all of that at the same time without needing lots of monitors or setup or more electric cables to plug in, because my power cable management is atrocious. So this is my real productivity desk setup. What are some of your favorite things, or what do you use in your desk setup? Leave me a comment below on what you use, but tweet at me. Take a picture of your setup and shoot me a picture, and you can find my Twitter information right here. But shoot me a picture. I love checking out other people's desks. If it's clean and it's minimal, I'm not going to judge you for it, but I bet you only did that for the picture because I can't keep this clean. This is the cleanest this has been, and I did not clean this specifically for this video. And if you like this video and you're curious about any of the computers that we talked about today, I'll leave a link for my laptop mega playlist right here so you can check all of those out. And you can find it by clicking right here. Click, 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 click. Thanks for watching.